The weather forecast with Akenugas.
Hi lovelies, and glad to have you once again on the weather forecast. I hope you are having a beautiful time. Between tonight and tomorrow morning, we expect a calm weather to dominate the nation with a possibility of light to moderate showers expected in some parts of the south and the west regions. We expect a minimum of 18 degrees to prevail in the northwest, 19 in the littoral, 21 in the center, and the east expecting a minimum temperature of 22 degrees. We also expect the north and far north regions to have a minimum temperature between 27 to 28 degrees. And in the west region this evening may be light showers in the towns of Bafang and Bangangte, and by morning there may be no possibility of precipitation in the entire west region. Until the Adamawa region tonight, there may be no possibility of rainfall in the entire region, and by morning it would be a similar experience with predominantly 22 degrees. Lastly, in the south region this evening, there is a light showers possibility, and by morning, light showers may prevail in the town of Kribi. Now, to protect yourself and others against the coronavirus, you should keep a 1 meter distance with everyone, wash your hands with soap and clean water, and in case of symptoms, call 1510. Have a good night.
Tonight, experts educate the public on how to acquire and wear conventional face masks as the rush for the protective kit against COVID-19 intensify all over Cameroon. The 60-year-old public law expert and former CPDM lawmaker from the Nkam constituency, Gaston Kumba, has been appointed as National Assembly Secretary General. And Sports and Physical Education Minister Narcisse Molekombi expressed satisfaction at the progress of work on the OLEMBE Sports Complex. The details right now. Thanks for watching the 7:30 news on CRTV. I am Moki Edwin Kinzeka in Yaoundé. There has been a mad rush, an unprecedented rush for masks in Cameroon since the government made the wearing of the protective kit against the coronavirus mandatory. But what are the characteristics of the good mask and how does one have to wear it? Gilbert Ongene met a health specialist and compiled this report.
Masks come in different forms and types. They are meant to prevent the wearer from various contaminations. The efficiency of a mask, medical doctors insist, depends on the material with which it is made.
We have surgical masks, we have the FFP1 masks, and we have the N95 masks. These are the best suitable and recommended masks to use. Although these masks are above 95% protection of viruses to get locally made masks that we have, which are most material and sponge masks, which have 0% prevention of viruses.
Though designed to protect the wearer and others from infections, having a mask on does not exempt them from respecting other hygiene rules.
Irrespective of what type of mask, try to respect social distancing as much as possible.
Though masks made from fabric could be used several times if thoroughly washed and disinfected, other masks have particular characteristics and a limited lifespan.
A mask should be able to have both the outer and the inner layer. We're telling people to understand that by using a mask, it means that you need to cover your nose and your mouth.
Putting on a face mask, experts on the line, is just one out of many measures that work together to protect the wearer and the other people around them.
COVID-19's devastating effects would have been far-reaching were it not for the use of the face mask and other hygiene methods to curb its spread. Kilian Dandifon traces the origin of face masks, which today are not only useful to prevent viral infections, but also other forms of human-to-human pathologies.
The first face mask was made by a renowned French medical doctor called Charles de Lorme. He conceived a face mask to fight against the pest that decimated the population of Paris, France, in 1619. Since then, the face mask was used as a protective instrument against different epidemics up to the 19th century. 1890, European surgeons started using masks and hand gloves during operations. In 1910, in Manchuria, what was thought to be a rat-originated pest that wiped out an entire population was proven by a Chinese medical doctor, Wu Lian, who imposed the wearing of masks, saying it was a pulmonary infection. His French counterpart, who refused to wear the mask, died in 1911 of pulmonary infection. The Spanish flu in 1918 changed the visual conception of face masks, widely used on the streets. 1929, meningitis epidemic hit Shanghai, Taiwan, and a free distribution of masks was carried out. Today, the coronavirus pandemic has reconfirmed that face mask is an effective preventive measure, and the Chinese who hold that putting on a face mask is a mark of modernity have been surprised to see Europeans they thought were modern people without wearing masks confronted with COVID-19 pandemic. We certainly do not want to be like the medical doctor whose superiority complex cost him his own life. History teaches us that the face mask saves lives. Let's wear it and respect other measures against COVID-19.
Now, can a person cleared of coronavirus be tested positive again? That has been the topic of research among scientists all over the world after South Korea announced that 100 treated patients were again tested positive. Cynthia Saptola spoke to an epidemiologist in Yaoundé who says science is yet to confirm such a new trend of the virus. Her report.
The prospect of people being reinfected with the coronavirus is of international concern. In an article from the New York Times published online April 10, 2020, a number of recovered coronavirus patients test positive in South Korea. According to an expert in Yaoundé, this incident is not the first.
It's not the first cluster because in China there were some clusters also that were reported. But WHO is investigating these cases, and there is a few scenarios which can explain that. The first one is that the negative results may have been false negative, and then these positive results would differ from those, not because they have been reinfected, but because the previous test was not properly done. But also, you could have a situation where there are some residual viral particles that were not picked up in the last test, but then they are picked up this time around. The third possibility is that there could have been reactivation of an infection.
As experts go through the different interpretations and many variables, they do say there are many questions science is yet to answer on the novel coronavirus.
This is a current pandemic. It's evolving every day, and science is learning as we move along. We are barely 3.5 months into the pandemic, so we don't really know for sure how this particular virus is going to behave in the long run. So the advice now is that even if you have been infected, you should not assume that you have complete immunity.
Given the uncertainty, medical practitioners say it will at least take a year or two to know if recovered patients have gained full immunity to the disease. Until then, it is safer to maintain social distancing and practice strict hygiene measures as recommended by the World Health Organization.
The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly changed work schedules. The National Pedagogic Inspector for Geology, Kenneth Mfor, now works from home. Gerard Nanji reports on how he is coping while working from an unusual environment.
Kenneth Mfor is a National Pedagogic Inspector for Geology at the Ministry of Secondary Education. His position obliges him to be at work, but decides to stay home as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, this has not deprived this administrator from carrying out his assigned task.
Work has been continuing, but from home. And as you can see, I am right now working to submit one of the assignments that was given by the Minister of Secondary Education, submitting geology lessons that have to go online. I took it as a personal decision to actually be confined back home and working from home.
This resident of Antwe Simbok in Yaoundé and a father of 4 admits that this new normal has permitted him to spend more time with the family.
I've learned to take care of the children when my wife is not there. I make sure that I follow up their education. I'm a teacher by profession, so I check them. The programs that pass over TV concerning teachings, primary school teachings, we follow, and we also follow their textbooks back at home. I bathe the children.
Mindful of the devastating effects of the COVID-19, the For family is fully respecting the hygiene measures.
You saw a running tap outside. We've actually placed a tap outside for, in case we have a visitor, you must wash your hands with soap and water before coming. And momentarily, the kids have learned to wash their hands with soap and water regularly. We have learned to respect social distancing. You notice that even when you came, I couldn't greet you with the hands like a normal African.
Whatever be the case, Kenneth Mfor, passionate about his job, is poised to give his best.
The population of Limbe has been told to consider the constant wearing of face masks as one of the best strategies to stop COVID-19 spread. The SDO of Fako, Emmanuel Edu Ngamba, and the Limbe City Mayor Andrew Mutanga Monjimba were speaking while distributing masks. Details with Henry McCauley.
Over 2,000 masks were distributed to inhabitants of the city of Limbe today. The distribution, which is a joint initiative of the Fako administration, the 3 councils in Limbe and the Limbe City Council, took place at the main markets in Limbe, the bus station at Mile 4, as well as a joint at that neighborhood.
We are out to sensitize everybody and make sure that in all open places like markets, motor parks, streets, and off licenses, everybody is wearing his face mask. I can say we are quite satisfied because, as we see, nearly 80% of our population effectively wear their face mask.
For the mayor of the city of Limbe, Andrew Mutanga Monjimba, inhabitants should not only have the masks, they should always put them on.
These masks are not for decoration. They are not for fancy. They should always have them on to protect themselves and protect their neighbors or the people around them.
During the campaign, the SDO warned parents that their children will be arrested if they are found selling in the different markets in Limbe.
We are going to send a team to take all these school children in markets to police station, and now the parents shall be called to order.
Addressing the population at each stop, the SDO of Fako, Emmanuel Ngamba, reminded the population that COVID-19 is real and dangerous, and so they should spare no effort to prevent its spread in Limbe.
10 transport vehicles have been impounded by transport officials in the northwest region for failing to respect government's measures to stop COVID-19 spread. The vehicles were overloaded while most passengers were not putting on their masks. Eric Langmawufo reports.
It's 7:30 a.m. and inter-urban transport vehicles on various parts of the country are entering the northwest. Most of them are overloaded. The 70-seat vehicles are transporting more than 50 persons.
The vehicles are not respecting the limits of passengers to be transported as prescribed by the government, and also the passengers are not putting on the mask.
Some of the transport buses who noticed the presence of the control dropped some passengers to walk cross over.
We came and we reached at Santa, so they were about crossing people and cross-checking what happened. Then when we reached here, they were asking us that we should show our ticket. The bus that already carried us has already gone, so this other driver had to help us so that we could trace our luggages that's inside the bag.
I'm blaming the driver because you cannot go without seeing all your passengers.
Faced with the complicity between the passengers and the bus drivers, transport officials have carried out repressive measures.
We are impounding some of the vehicles and making sure that they respect henceforth the measures prescribed by government.
The special road safety campaign comes to add to those of public health officials who have been screening all travelers entering the northwest at Matazan, Santa in a move to contain the spread of the coronavirus.
28 new recoveries from COVID-19 have been registered today, making a total of 158 recovered cases in the country. Let's go over to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center to meet our reporter, Rana Tusali, with the experts. Her experts, they will talk about recoveries and the treatment that is being given to people. Now, Rana Tusali, over to you and the guests.
Good evening, Moki Edwin. The latest from this end is that 28 new recoveries have been recorded today, meaning 158 people have recovered from the COVID-19 in Cameroon so far. With my guest, Dr. Eric Tandy, tonight we'll be talking about recoveries and treatment. Good evening, doctor.
Yeah, good evening, Sandy.
Now, tell us, how is a recovered case being followed up?
Sally, actually, we follow protocols, and once each and every one that is admitted for COVID-19, this individual is managed until when it is proven or his results are proven negative before this individual can be advised to go home. And even while at home, the government preventive measures are recommended that the individual continue to follow.
Now, how challenging has it been for health personnel to follow up patients?
Yeah, it's a new pandemic, and all safety measures is what the health personnel try to put in place so that they don't get infected as well, because like I did mention, that health personnel are those who are at high risk of this pandemic. That is the only challenges that we have as far as handling COVID patients are concerned. But I think with the expertise of these health personnel, we are able to contain the challenges as of now.
Well, doctor, we know that it is the state that takes care of all the bills. Now, can we have an idea of how much it costs to take care or to treat a COVID-19 patient?
Sally, we cannot actually come on a specific amount based on a case, because this depends on individual conditions. Some persons have to go under respiratory ventilators and others have to go through just normal treatment. So the cost varies on individual patients' health conditions. So we cannot per se give a specific amount as far as the cost is concerned.
But the more severe cases are far more expensive than the less severe cases, we can say.
Yeah, for sure. If you have to put somebody on a ventilator for 2-3 days and even a week, that can go. You shouldn't expect to have the same cost as someone who is undergoing normal treatment without going to an assisted respiratory ventilator. So the costs vary based on individual state condition or health condition.
Okay, we know that the different regions do have centers for COVID-19 patients, but how is it being coordinated? How is treatment being coordinated? Is it done from Yaoundé?
No, the decentralization has been the major principle that has been put in place as far as COVID management is concerned, and this has been placed under the regional governors in collaboration with the regional delegates for health. A whole team is set, including the hospital system that manages COVID. The only thing is that the central level receive reports on daily basis as far as the management of the regional basis are concerned. So it is but normal that the central level put an eye or check what is actually happening at the regional level in order to assist, especially on capacity of the personnel at the level of the region, so that we are operating like a country, so that we should be able to have a precise and concise results as far as this is concerned.
It's always a pleasure having you around, doctor.
Thank you very much.
Moki Edwin. Just to add that in the course of the press briefing that just ended a while ago, officials of the Ministry of Public Health have congratulated Cameroonians who have been respecting the prescribed government measures against COVID-19. They equally condemned the increase in price of hand sanitizers and face masks by some pharmacies in the country. Rana Tusali from the Public Health Emergency Operations Center for the 7:30 News.
Thanks very much, Rana Tusali. And as usual, please keep safe, Rana, too. Let's continue now in the Central Region, where Finance Minister Louis-Paul Motaze has offered hygiene and sanitation kits to the population of Ndom in the Nyong and Fumu Division. Local officials who handed over the gifts on behalf of the minister called for their judicious use in fighting COVID-19. Kwancho Marie-Claire reports from CRTV Center.
The hygiene and sanitation items from Minister Louis-Paul Motaze comprise 250 cartons of washing soap, 3 hand washing machines, and 2 cartons of hand sanitizers. Handing over the gift to the mayor of Ndom, Rene Bekolo Esama, the representative of the donor, the DO of Ndom, Nyo Na Serge Lavi, exhorted the population to judiciously use the gift. The DO reiterated the importance of the items, which he says are intended to help kick out the deadly COVID-19 virus from their locality. The mayor, on his part, while receiving the items, thanked the minister, whom he describes as a nephew, uncle, and son of the soil, who has always responded to calls from the population.
It's a laudable initiative. Ndom has to be in good health. So to be in good health, you have to fight against this corona.
Other social partners like the Cameroon Red Cross and UNICEF also donated some 100 buckets with taps fixed on them. The ceremony that took place at the courtyards of the Ndom Council was in strict compliance of government's measures in a bid to curb the spread of COVID-19.
The globe has been in panic for the past 5 months or so that the deadly coronavirus has infected about 2 million people. But this is not the worst pandemic in human history. Tonight, our chief international correspondent, Charles Ebune, looks at the global history of pandemics and says the world will emerge from this one too.
Include the biblical Egyptian plagues by God to punish the pharaohs for Jewish enslavement. Here are some of the deadly global maladies of the post-Jesus era.
The idea that a virus or a respiratory virus could come and really cause a lot of death, it's something that WHO has been working on.
These are a family of viruses, a family that can cause disease.
Occurring almost on a century or half or a quarter of a century basis, the Black Death of the 14th century was the deadliest epidemic transformed into a pandemic, killing about 200 million people, above the number killed by the 2 world wars combined.
There needs to be a team of viral hunters who should be on the alert. And with the technologies available, with the reagents available, some of which we may have to manufacture ourselves on the spot.
Today, the coronavirus has killed plus 100,000 people within 4 months, with nearly 2 million infected people. And the overwhelming global panic is because of this.
What has been surprising is rather the severity, including in countries with a robust health system. That came as really a major surprise, and it was something that was unexpected.
The human race has been coping with the HIV and AIDS pandemic for 36 years now, amongst other health disasters like malaria. Unlike in the previous cases, humanity will overcome coronavirus with the best possible human containment policy.
Charles Ebune. Honorable Gaston Komba has been appointed as Secretary General of the National Assembly. The 60-year-old former CPDM lawmaker from the Nkam constituency was appointed during a bureau meeting today presided over by House Speaker Honorable Kavai Yege Jibril. Esther Kima reports on the appointment and other activities at the National Assembly this day.
The second Bureau meeting of the 10th legislative period, chaired by House Speaker Honorable Kavai Yege Jibril, was solely dedicated to the appointments of a new Secretary General after several months of vacancy. The choice made was Honorable Gaston Kumba, Member of Parliament from 2007 to 2020, coordinator of the Parliamentary Network for Youth Advocacy and the initiator of the Youth Parliament.
You are bosses and members of the National Assembly. I admonish you to respect them, and I hope you will take this into account.
Reminded of the delicate nature of his mission, the graduate of the National School of Administration in Paris, France, was cautioned to be first at the service of the elected representatives and to aptly manage the affairs of the General Secretariat. While waiting for the official installation ceremony, members of the Committee on Finance and the Budget, on their part, renewed by 80%, were drilled on the new fiscal regime of the state.
We are at the beginning of the new legislature, the third one, and it was a necessity for us to work with them and explain to them the new orientation in the execution of public finances in our country.
A dynamism applauded by the committee chair, Honorable Rosette Ayayimo Timbu, as the members are expected to scrutinize the state budget and to control government action.
The Senate the bill which seeks to reform Cameroon's postal sector and make it respond to the exigencies of the times. The Minister of Post and Telecommunications, Minette Libom Lili Keng, defended the draft bill. The President of the Senate, Marcel Nyat Njifenji, presided over the session, as Christian Chatham reports.
After about 6 days of scrutiny at the Production and Exchange Committee of the Senate, the bill to reorganize the postal sector in Cameroon has finally been adopted during a plenary session presided by Senate President Marcel Nyat Njifenji. The bill seeks to tighten rules and regulations governing the organization and functioning of the postal sector and to make it respond to the modern-day demands of Cameroonians. The bill comes to address shortcomings of the postal sector which have accrued over the years, shortcomings which were highlighted in a report presented by the Production and Exchange Committee. Amongst them, the concentration of postal services in big towns and urban areas, the lack of a distribution system of mails to different households, and the poor rate of adoption of modern and innovative tools, with 230 post offices in the 80s and about 250 private operators working in the sector, mostly informally, since 2010. Bill number 140 comes as the added impetus needed to reinvigorate a sector which is performing below maximum capacity. The Minister of Posts and Telecommunications, who played the part of government's advocate during today's plenary session, said the bill comes as a palliative which will heal the wounds of the postal sector and make it more performant.
We are very happy because with the Parliament, the law has been approved and adopted. We are ready to put it in application as soon as all the other texts will be taken by the hierarchy, because the economy of Cameroon, the postal services were in need of this law.
After the National Assembly, the Senate has thus validated the bill on postal reforms in Cameroon, opening the way for its eventual promulgation into law.
We're sorry for that hitch there. Close to 3,400 Cameroonians will be decorated this year with various honorary medals. The information was disclosed at the Unity Palace by the Grand Chancellor of the National Orders, Peter Mafani Mosonge, as he chaired the meeting of the Council of National Orders. Today's session was attended by some new members appointed following the reorganization of the National Orders. Ashu Nyente.
20th May is around the corner, and members of the National Councils of the National Orders are meeting at the Unity Palace this 14 April 2020 to propose those Cameroonians whom this nation should honor on the 48th National Day. This meeting is being chaired by the Grand Chancellor of National Orders, Peter Mafani Mosonge, following the express permission of the Grand Master of National Orders, President Paul Biya. This year, a total of 3,350 medals are up for grabs, broken down in the following manner. Order of Valor, 300 medals. Cameroon National Order of Merit, 1,300. Agricultural Order of Merit, 300 medals. Sports Order of Merit, 150 medals. And the Medal of Merit of the Forces of Law and Order, 1,300. But what criteria will be used to pick those most deserving of national accolades?
Only candidates who have within and beyond the national borders contributed to enhancing the image of Cameroon as a proud country and a united nation ready to face all its challenges.
Given the health context in which these councils are meeting, social distancing and the government's latest measure of compulsory face masks see no exception. It is clear the shadows of COVID-19 are lurking around the decorations.
We are just preparing for the fixed date of 20th May. Obviously, we are in a crisis situation, but that decision of celebration comes back to the head of state.
The final say on who actually gets decorated and the contours of this year's decorations lies with the Grand Master, President Paul Biya.
The International Organization of Excellence has handed an award of encouragement to the President of the Constitutional Council, Clement Tangana. The organization, led by its president, Alain Fofier, said it singled out Clement Tangana as best promoter of judicial practices in Africa. Sidonin Jobmandi reports.
Impartiality in legal decisions was one among many other criteria put in place by the authorities of the International Organization of Excellence for the selection of Clement Tangana as one of the best promoter of judicial practices in the sub-region.
He has been a good judge, has been a judge of high moral integrity. This is even one of the criteria that made him to be appointed as the president of the Constitutional Council. So we wanted to give him this prize to encourage him so that he can continue working for the interests of Cameroon.
Members of the jury of this non-governmental organization were all unanimous that the work done by the legal structure is visible in and out of the country.
This prize concerns the president of the Constitutional Council because of the work that he has been doing. We know it is a very difficult context. He is able to come out with success in a very, very difficult working conditions. Sometimes there's tension, but he's able to manage the institution in a very brilliant way.
During the ceremony, the president of the Constitutional Council was also described as a unique professional in the judicial sector. While expressing appreciation for his meritorious award, the Constitutional Council boss saluted the efforts made by his collaborators for the advancements and achievements in the legal structure. He urged them to continue working hard so as to guarantee transparency in the legal sphere.
The Minister of Sports and Physical Education has expressed satisfaction at the progress of work at the OLEMBE Sports Complex that will host some matches of the 2021 AFCON. Minister Narcisse Molekombi visited the facility this day. Bodwin Sama reports.
Minister Narcisse Molekombi's visits to the OLEMBE Sports Complex months after McGill Construction took over construction work here was to see for himself how work has improved, especially with the planting of natural grass on the turf. The natural grass experts say after 2 weeks must have grown to a satisfactory level, and the field of play to test the quality and how effective the natural grass is can be used in 3 months from now.
We have 3 months of maintenance. After 3 months, the stadium will be ready to play on the grass. For now, we have just to leave this grass by water and by maintenance.
The electrical system of the stadium has already been installed, with the different dressing rooms of the main stadium 80% ready, while at the annex stadium, the different dressing rooms are ready, waiting to be used.
We are satisfied because we have noticed evolution on the field of this complex in the perspective of AFCON and in the perspective of all the competitions that our country is going to host.
The testing of the stadium will be in August this year, 1 month before it is handed over for use.
And that ends the 7:30 news on CRTV. Join Adele Mbala in exactly 29 minutes for the news in the French language. I am Moki Edwin Kinzigan Yaondi. Thank you for watching, and please keep safe and make sure you put on your mask as ordered by the government of the Republic. Thanks for watching.